Hi guys, I'm going to try to get this video together for you. I want to talk to you about a little bit about what I do when I do inspections. I'm not like the ones who fly in and who don't live here. I don't have to make a decision in that small window of time as to what's going to happen. And in fact, my father tells me not to do that. He says that I'm to report what the land is doing. So that is what I do. I do report to you what the land is doing. And when I find Aviv barley, I report that. Um, I am looking only in fields, wild fields of barley. A field has to have more barley left after you harvest the omer that you need. It has to have more barley left in the field, or it's not a field. Um, I'm looking for an omer in the field. I'm looking for a harvestable Aviv condition, not what will be. That's about it. That's really about it. That's it. I am looking for something that we can say, hey, look right there. We got the Aviv. We got the quantity we need. It's in a field. It's 8 by 10. I'm sorry, 8 by 8. It's 8 by 12, whatever the dimension. It's there. It's provable. I can test it. I can see it. I know it's there. So that's the first thing. And so, as I told you on the video just before, that I start in the north because I live in the north. I went back out day before yesterday, a little bit more in the north area, just to make sure I'd covered all my bases. I did not find anything any different than I had found up and down Highway 90 from the end of the Canary to the checkpoint. There was nothing as far as advanced as that area. I do not feel a need to make videos of fields for the sake of making videos of the fields. I make videos to show what's the most advanced, and the most advanced in that area would have been the checkpoint, but it is still not a harvestable quantity. So I just want to let you know that even though I did go out and I did spend quite a bit of time in the car, there was nothing any further advanced. Sorry, red alerts and stuff, or information about red alerts. Um, there was nothing any further advanced than what I saw up and down Highway 90. So I did not record videos from that. But that's part of the searching, is just to make sure that you look at as many areas as possible, especially if you know an area presents as developed as it does right there in the area of the checkpoint. But again, I'm looking for a sickle harvestable quantity. And you're going to see that on a video today. You're going to see that process. You're going to understand I'm saying you cannot put the sickle into that area of the checkpoint, though it is at this point the most advanced field. Today was the first day I'd been able to go south, and I went to down around Raim. I headed straight to Raim because Raim always presents the earliest. And I didn't stay there. I went in a few other areas. And so that's what you're going to see today. You're going to see predominantly Raim because of the report that the barley was Aviv down there. Again, if I find Aviv barley, my work is done, but it has to qualify for what I say is Aviv. So it behooves me to go check on it. So I went to Raim and I went to check on that area. I did not find anything in a quantity that is harvestable. We're going to start looking at those videos from that area, and we'll pick each one of them apart as we go.
Okay, beloved, in 2024, this is where me and a friend found the Aviv barley. And you can see this year, it is covered up with oats. There's really, this right here was where the barley was Aviv at that time. All of this, from the tree all the way over to the next little bump up over there. This was all Aviv. And the whole field was barley. So you can see this year, I talked earlier in the year about the rains and how the oats would reign supreme this year, and that's exactly what's going on. But I also want you to notice that the oats are still green. They have not dropped their seeds. Oats will be ripe before barley. They have a shorter life cycle. If they're growing together in the same field, the oats will have a shorter life cycle. So if I turn this way, we're about right though, guys. This is the dying of the anemones. This is what I want to see as we come into the Aviv season. The dying of the anemones. If I come here to this side, you can see that these are starting to drop. You see that? But there's no barley on this side. There's precious little barley. I don't see any. So there's some around the tree over there. There's some right there around the tree. So yeah, this is, I'm not seeing anything that looks like harvestable barley yet. And I haven't seen anything that looks like harvestable body from the only Anomer group until my inspection here. There is an area nearby that does have barley, standing barley, and a lot of it. So I'll take you there next.
The year that we used that for the beginning of the biblical calendar, that area was quite beautiful. And it was very interesting to see just the difference in the way. Look, everything is there, okay? The barley seeds are still there. I promise you, they'll be back next year or the year after. And the oat seeds will be there when that happens. But this is what I'm talking about. This is why I don't use the Zadok scale, because it's Elohim who drives what is going to happen in any place on this land. It could have been just as easy barley this year, but that's not what he chose to foster there. It's the way it gets the rain. That's what fosters the plants. Oats love to have their feet wet. Barley doesn't like it so much. And so in that area, there was a lot of oats and hardly any barley. So yeah, let's look at the next one. It's just the difference, what the Father did with the rain, the environment, and all of that caused that to be full of oats rather than barley.
Okay guys, we're going to try something today. I've got the GoPro and the camera going so you can see what I'm seeing completely. This is what I call a field of wild barley. But as we go in here, I want you to look that there is wild barley in bloom. And this should be more mature right here by this dirt top. This still works as a solar heat collector. Anytime the sun can hit the earth, anytime there's a clear view, this will heat up. And this, actually I should show you, this field of wild barley runs on both sides of the road and runs for quite a way. So we're going to go over here and we're going to see if we can see anything, because as I've been telling you, the roadside barley is like telling me the earth is still immature to make a harvestable amount of barley. See, all of this here, even the oats are still coming out here, but all of this here is still standing, and even in oats. Okay, so we're going to do something right now. I have to lay my camera down. I brought my sickle. I do want to show you the process of what Magal hand sickle harvesting would look like. And now I'm going to rely on my GoPro. Bear with me, guys. I got a handful here today. I've got my notes and all that stuff. So let's find a good, let's take this right here, because I can get a good armful. So I would reach, if it was me, having worked with this a bit, I would reach in like this, and the scripture talks about docking. So docking is not taking the whole thing. Docking is literally going like this. Okay? That's a handful. That's a handful. That's what I would harvest. So guys, when I talk about a sickle ready harvest, when I put the sickle in these grains, I want to see 85% is what I want to see. I want to see 85% are ready to go. Excuse me. And I don't want to see it with just one handful. I'm going to take a sample from that 8 foot by 8 foot area. I'm going to go around and cut
little pieces, not full handfuls like this, but probably about a fourth of that. I'm going to take about a fourth of that from about 20 different places in that 8-foot by 8-foot section, just to make sure that I'm getting a ratio of about 85% Aviv grains in the barley heads.
Let's just see what we can see here in this one. This one's still blooming. This one is not blooming. There's something in this. It's very soft. Water, only water. This one is not blooming. Why do I squeeze this? Someone said, why do I squeeze it? Because let me show you what it takes to open one. That one was water. I've got to stop. I've got to choose a grain that has something. And then I've got to open.
I want to jump in here and say something as I'm watching myself do this here. I want you to look at the difference in the presentation of this barley than we saw at the Jordan Valley checkpoint. I'm answering in this video the question about why those grains were so poor there, but I want you to look for yourself at the difference, how these awns do not break off, and how they're just healthier looking overall. The whole presentation of this barley is healthier looking.
The whole head like this, and I still don't have it open, and I've got a handful of barley and many more miles to go today, and then I finally get to what will be a grain. It's really not a grain because it's squished. So that's why I feel this one has been blooming recently. The earth is not mature enough. It's not mature enough. I don't know what to tell you. Again, I am looking for barley in a field because of the scripture. I don't care about patches along the road or patches in a field that has other things growing. I am looking for a field of wild barley. And I'm not telling you everything I'm doing, but I'm letting you see my hands, and you can see that I am just, there's nothing in that. See? There's nothing in that. That's why I do that. It takes me 2 seconds to do that rather than opening each head individually. The other group thumps it. I know for sure that thumping it doesn't prove anything. You see that? Or doesn't prove anything because those heads over there at Checkpoint Charlie that were empty were thumping. There was nothing in them. The plant was dead, but the grain heads were empty. Which brings me to a question that somebody asked me. Why would a head of barley develop without any grains inside? Scripture says that it's because of the shallowness of the soil. Go to this parable of the sower, and you have soil conditions. On the soil condition of the one that has shallow soil, it says they spring up quickly, but then they die and they don't bring forth fruit. They don't bring forth anything acceptable. And that certainly is what we saw over there at the checkpoint, the Jordan Valley checkpoint. So this one is, I can't even open it. I tried to open it for you guys. We have not found anything that's in beef, and so this is what I do to qualify a field, is I literally take some and test them to see if I can prove a harvestable quantity in the right maturity from a field of barley. I'm just going to keep running through this. And let me see what the other questions were here. I actually wrote them down. Hang on. Will I inspect and separate apart for him? The answer. I'll put the question in the screen. I will inspect until I have proved a sickle of a harvestable omer of wild barley that not barley that will be. So in other words, I will inspect until I can come to a field and I can see a 8 by 8, if you want 12 by 12. area of a field that will present me with an omer of barley. And to date, we have not had that proof presented to either me or you guys. And I'm not predicting the barley that will be. Another question, part of that question, is this the normal time of year? The year varies every year. The point is not to be excited when the color green appears. Yeshua's parable speaks of first the blade, then the head, and then the full head, and you know that the harvest has come. Number 2, Pearl. Will I be checking in southern Israel? Yes, I'm in southern Israel today. I start in the north because I live there, and I give it a good go over because I was told that there'd be acceptable barley there. There was not. I'm in the south now. That's my normal operating. I do the north because I live there, and then I come to the south because it's usually a race between the north and the south. So that's my pattern of checking. And so I try to check the whole country, and we remember the word I used, the biblical word shibol. That one's blooming. I can take that one out. Shibol, the word is shibol. We're checking these are the shibol. We're checking the heads of barley. Okay. Let's keep going. Let me do one more. And then I answer that the squeezing of the grains is a quick way to tell if there's sufficient dry starch. Dry starch does not squeeze. Some thump the grain heads, but this is inadequate. Remember again, checkpoint Charlie. Let's keep going. And see, we even have just so much coming still out of the boot here, but we're just going to keep going. So this is, in my opinion, the best way to know your field. Nothing in that water, nothing. That's stuck there. You see that one? That one's got a little I call a nib. You know, the little bit of almost like where the root was connected on the peanut. When you open your peanuts, there's a little nib on the end of it, and that's another nib. That grain is not even filled up. There's still white material. Sorry, I got some allergies here today. Got a lot of stinging nettle, and even though that's an antihistamine naturally, no, there's nothing in there. Antihistamine naturally, I've got a little allergy to that pollen. But stinging nettles are great antihistamine if you drink the tea of the leaves. Yeah, no, that's very immature, nothing there. So I will say to you also, I knew that this field is not ready. I can just look at the condition of how, let's see if I can bring you up. Do you see how that barley is standing over there in the distance? From here, I think you can see, I hope on the camera, it's standing. Everything is still emerging in this field. Nothing is really bent over as of yet. There are a few that are bent over, but nothing really is bent over as of yet. And remember, bent over can be from the wind, very wet dough. Wet worm, very wet worm. Or it can be from the weight of the grain, wet worm. I dropped him. I mean, I can do all of these, but the point is that this is Raim. And this is usually an early area. I'm telling you that the north is more mature than Raim is. That's empty. Water. That one had water. Not even there goes from water to like a milky color. Again, that one's water. That one's dry, nothing in the head, no nothing. Not dry as in dry dough, dry without water or anything. There's nothing. That one's worm. Okay, that one's has nothing, water, nothing. That one's blooming. And this one is dry, empty, nothing. So, okay, so that gives you a good idea of how to check a field, how to legitimately check a field, is to just take your sickle and reach in there and then evaluate it. And yes, I will do it in the most mature part of the field. As I learn the fields, I know where it is very mature. GoPro, stop recording. All right, some more questions here. One, I did. Two, I'll pick that up. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave that there. I won't. Praise John, I love Yeshua, Messiah. The holy days will be published when I proved a harvestable quantity of barley. I live here. I do not need to predict the barley. I have been told by my father that I patiently wait and I report what I see. And if that interests you, then you're on the right channel. Marina Harmon, yes, according to the parables, we were talking about depth of soil. I covered that. Now, I saw that field in question that you posted on. I saw it before they raised it. They raised it a couple years back. Before they raised it, there was no wild barley in that area. Before they raised it, the inspectors were looking closer. There's an orchard there on one end, and we were looking closer to the orchard. But after they raised that, I noticed that they had scraped the earth and piled up a bunch of debris there's two fields there where that wild barley grows now. That's how they rearranged that land between those two fields. And so if I'm guessing, there's a lot in those, I call them berms, in those areas where the domestic field and the wild field met. There was a lot of debris that was piled up in that area where that anomaly with that barley was happening, where the grains were too thin, there were no grains, it was just a mess there. I would imagine it has, just like the scripture says, to do with the shallowness of the soil. Number 4, help me with terms. Okay. You should know the terms that I use are not scientific. What I want to do is I want to say to you, this is worm. And when you squeeze it, it comes out and it looks like a worm, or it looks like a squished caterpillar, or it looks like you're popping a zit. You saw just what I was doing. So my terms are not scientific. They are terms that I use to explain a condition. And so let me tell you that, as I said, worm, the contents exit and it looks like a worm, a squeezed caterpillar. Empty heads, I use that term a lot and I use it widely, and I apologize. Empty head can mean that there is nothing, no worm, or it can mean no dry dough barley. I use it both ways. I apologize. But it means that there is no aviv in that head. Wet dough. Wet dough leaves moisture on your fingers and your fingernails. It will not produce another plant of barley. And then there is dry dough, which I look for. Dry dough is, and I'm going to drop a photo here because I don't have any here right now. If I find some, I may record it later. Dry dough is no moisture. When it is bruised, it will roll into a ball of dough between your fingers, and it will grow another plant. After this stage, after the dry dough stage, the barley begins to shatter or self-seed itself. It will go ahead and harden on the ground to a popcorn consistency, like the kernel of a popcorn. It will do that, and it's not overripe, but it's not harvestable. When you go very much past the condition of Eve, everything starts shattering. And so my cutoff point is, I know that I can, with a sickle harvest is violent. You've got to grab those heads and give it a yank. And if you're harvesting a field, you're not lily-putting around, you're aggressively taking in the barley. I know if it goes past that, then the barley starts shattering and falling to the earth. So what I am looking for is that medium dough, starch, no liquid, divisible, it's tender. You open it up, you can see the starch in there, and I know that I can harvest it with minimal loss. And I'm looking for that condition. I'm looking for that condition in an 8x8. I'll even give you a 12x12, a 12x12 area in a field, in a larger field like we're in now. I'm looking for that to be cohesively harvested with a hand sickle and be able to tie it together and have it there as a presentation all together. This is another excellent area. Oh, look, the anemones are just really fading. So that's good to see. I want to see that. Another excellent area of wild barley. It's what I would call a field. There are some, sorry, gotta remember myself. There are some thistles there, but this is all, you can see it. There's some oats back there, but you can see that it is predominantly barley. So we're gonna come away from the road. That's to my shoulders out here. It's had good rain. Probably one of the reasons that that Jordan Valley area, a lot of blooming barley. That Jordan Valley area is further ahead than this area is because there is more rain down here. Sorry. Looking for holes. There are holes there, and there's a hole there. So this is actually pretty thick with thistles. Let's get away from here and pull out just into any area now that has barley. And this is pretty thick with oats. And this other grass, I don't know what it is, but even here you're seeing that there is just, everything is still in bloom. One of the things about Israel is you better take a stick in with you when you go, because you don't know where the ground is when this stuff gets so tall. Just my personal observation of these years of being alone in the field, and that has nothing in that head, meaning no water, no worm, no nothing. Okay, this is a smaller area, but I would still call this an acceptable area, enough to take an omer and still have a harvest for the farmer left. You can see, if we're looking, that we have a lot of blooming barley. This does not look like an area where an animal has bedded because it's not all the way laying over. We have the beautiful red barley because we've had the cold nights. Let's check him. He's red. He's looking pretty. So this goes from at least the hill over there to the hill over there and all the way back up there. I don't expect to find a lot because, again, he is in the midst of a bunch of bloomin' buddies. This is harder, see? This is harder with a camera in one hand, a phone in one hand, and a GoPro on your head. It leaves me less. You see how much the earth is not mature enough here. Do you see that?
I'm going to splice that little part of that clip and play it again after I make this comment. What you're going to be looking for is in the grass. There are plenty of heads standing straight up. If you just kind of look at the standing straight up barley, all standing straight up, all of that is new barley. And when I'm saying the earth is not mature enough in this area, that's what I'm referring to. It's telling me that the heads are empty, as we saw, and things are still coming up.
On your head leaves me less. You see how much the earth is not mature enough here. Do you see that? Do you see that? All this blooming. This is actually a tear. This is what the Bible talks about, a tear. It's the same color as the black wheat, and it grows in the black wheat. All of that is blooming. All of this in here is blooming. You can see this would be a legitimate, for me, field. But look, it's just so young. I don't know if you can see. I know my GoPro has limitations. I know that. It's hard to, I don't think it has a focus. I haven't gotten that far into my usage of it. You see, this is a field. This is a field of barley. And if you look up through there, you've still got a lot of standing heads. They're younger than the stuff that's laying over. But let's check something that's laying over. Let's be fair. I'm going to pick a pretty one. You see that little bit on my fingernail? That's just got a little worm in it. This field is very young, and this field is very immature.
So that was 4 different areas around Raim. I did go into some other regions and look, but I want to tell you what I'm seeing. If you started with me this year when I went to the pump house, why did I go there? I went there because the barley beside the road in my area was starting to ripen. That hot zone was causing early ripening of the things that grew along the road. And I went there knowing that that would probably be coming out, and to show you and to prove that I don't use that location because it is affected by the concrete around there. Think about, if you've seen a dehydrator, a solar dehydrator, or if you have seen we have solar hot water heaters on all of our houses. They're all painted black to absorb the heat of the sun. It gets hot, and then it releases it, and it heats the water up, or it heats the food up and dries it out, or cooks it in some cases. That's what's happening when you look at the barley alongside of the road. And so what I'm saying to you is, it's not just the stuff that was in the field. Every place I went up and down that area, the oats along the road were still wearing their green heads. The barley was definitely wearing its green head. And the oats are a shorter cycle than a barley is. And so to have oats beside the concrete, beside the asphalt, still wearing a green head, tells me that what I saw in the fields is not an anomaly. It tells me that in general, that's the way the land is. You may have heard me talk about arugula in Bet Shean, in that area, where I usually go first because that's in the north. And then when I'm going through there, I'm noticing is arugula blooming. Oh, the arugula is blooming for 10 or 11 years. That happens before the barley is avived. Do I require it? No. Do I notice it? Yes. And so I noticed today. I'm going to probably drop a picture in here. I think I took a picture in one of the locations. There are fields of blooming arugula down in this area, around Ashkelon, north of there in that area. The arugula is beautiful, beautiful arugula. Prettier than we have in the north, beautiful. And it is still in bloom. Do I require this? No. But after I was in the fields and I saw what was going on down around Raim, and I saw the arugula, it fit the picture, it fit the timing. I cannot tell you strongly enough that what I'm looking for is something I can harvest with a sickle and prove. And I am looking for a quantity that is 8 by 8. And I can tell you explicitly that it is not out there that I have found it. The closest thing I have found to being ready would be that checkpoint, but it is not ready yet. I cannot put the sickle to the healthy grains. I will, like I said earlier, I will go to Jerusalem and then south, hopefully this week. This is the 11th calendar. They have a criteria, and their criteria is not the same as my criteria. Um, yeah, that's just it. I'm not going to say more than that, and that's plenty. So I am going out pretty early. The other inspectors, none of them go out until just that little few days before. And there's still time. I think there's about 10 days until the first of the month. And, if I need it, if the Aviv is not found before the first day of the 12th month, I will go to the 10th day. If we're looking at the pattern of Messiah, he was crucified as the first fruits and the Lamb of Elohim. He was harvested on the 14th day. So I'm comfortable going till the 10th day. So we have time for it to happen. And again, I don't predict. There's no reason to predict. I wait for the barley to really be Aviv, really truly be Aviv, and then I say, hey, the barley's Aviv. I would suggest that you prepare for Passover. If you're going to have a Seder or whatever you're going to do, you go ahead and prepare for it as if it's going to happen. And I promise you, as soon as I find something, I'll have you right there in the field, showing you the field, not a close-up view like this. It'll be a provable field. I'll have you in the field with a sickle, showing you at least one cutting that it's, 8 out of 10. Eight of 10 heads are ready excuse me, 8 of 10 heads are Aviv. I'm tired. I've been traveling a lot and I need to get some sleep, and that's what I've got to show you. Didn't show you more. I could have showed you fields like that all day long. I want a field of barley. I want a legitimate field of barley, and I want a legitimate Aviv barley being ready, not predicted to be ready, but being ready. But for those of you that feel like I should still be predicting the barley, or you're okay if somebody else does, even if they use the Zadok scale, which I've proven the last 2 years does not fit the wild barley, I want to show you a couple of verses that reinforce what Elohim told me from the beginning before I knew about these verses, that I'm only to report what I see and not predict. Genesis 3:1, Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God hath made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Thou shalt not eat of every tree of the garden. And the word root for serpent, nahash, which is the same basically as the word for serpent, means, the italicized in Strong's is the real meaning. The in-between words are his filler, okay, to help us understand. And I don't always agree with them, but let's look at the root, or the italicized words, the bold words. To hiss, a whisper, to prognosticate. So what is prognostication? To foreshow, to indicate a future event by present signs. Please, are you listening? A clear sky at sunset prognosticates a fair day. To foretell by means of present signs, to predict. Neither will I nor can prognosticate. That's the way I feel. I mean, I won't tell you what the barley is going to do. I won't prognosticate. And to the young, grasping heirs, his father's fate. So that's just what it meant. That word we see in King James, this is a dictionary for the same era. It's to foreshow, to indicate a future event by present signs. A clear sky at sunset prognosticates a fair day. Now, Yeshua had something to say about that. In the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O you hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but cannot discern the times, the sign of the times, and that discern is not in there. That's italicized. King James added that. So it's, oh, you hypocrites. You can discern the face of the sky, but you cannot the signs of the times. A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of Jonas, the prophet Jonas, and he left them and departed. Now, we're talking about the signs of the time, and we're talking about the sign of Jonah. We ought to have the sign of Jonah in our biblical calendar and understand those 3 days and 3 nights, and we ought not to predict what will be. There's another verse with the barley. I'm saying, if Elohim gives you a word, you say it. You do like I did. You put your neck out there. Will attacks come after that? Betach, they are coming, and it doesn't matter. I said I'd be a fool for Elohim, and I am. Again, you have heard it said by them of old time that you shall not swear by thyself, but shall perform unto the Lord thy oath. So in other words, we don't swear by God's throne, nor by the earth, which is his footstool, nor by a hair on my head, because I cannot make it black or white. But let your communication be yes and no. For whosoever is more than that cometh of evil. You don't need the Lion Zadok scale. You need me to say that I have seen what I have seen, or the other person to say, I have seen what I have seen, and be very transparent by what they're looking at, showing the whole field and not small sections. And we see in 1 Samuel that Jonathan caused David to swear again. Okay? So we see this swearing is not a bad thing. We kind of in our generation have this idea that to swear is a bad thing. But it's in Hebrews we learn, for when God hath made a promise to Abraham, because he could swear by no greater, he swore by himself. Verse 16, for men verily swear by the greater, which is Elohim, an oath of confirmation is to them an end of all strife. So what I am telling you is the fear of Elohim is in me. And I am telling you, I'm giving you my oath that what I have seen, I have seen. There is no harvestable fields with a 9x9 or a 12x12 section that is ready now to have the sickle placed to it. And that will be it until I go to Jerusalem. Thanks for watching.